What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Podcast, episode 322. I'm here with Griffin.
I'm here with Trav.
And I'm headphoning some In the Meantime with Adam.
We finally watched Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has finally arrived.
So not as intense of a like when the movie dropped, everyone was like, man, animal cruelty, it's all throughout it. Guard your
It was pretty
kids,
cruel, though.
war people. It's absolutely.
He lost his friends, man.
Yeah, but that was more impactful than what we visually saw.
Yeah.
Which what we saw was absolutely fucked up. But like I don't know what I was thinking. Like I assumed we were gonna see Teef, Lila, and Flora or Floor. Like we were gonna see like operating. I thought for some reason we were gonna see gore, and we didn't.
Oh,
Well,
Disney movie.
whenever,
In a way, we did. I get
Yeah.
it, but but you know what I mean. Like the way it was hyped up in terms of the cruelty that these characters undergo. Like we were going to be visually seeing that for very extended shots, like unsettling level. You know.
yeah. No,
But, I mean, and it didn't take away from it or anything. Like this is absolutely an excellent film that was deserving of the praise it got.
yeah. I think the part that surprised me the most on all that, and this is whenever I said it's like, wow, I'm surprised that they were able to get away with it, was the reveal of the High Evolutionary's actual face from where Rocket fucked him up.
Absolutely, dude.
That was so surprising for me because, like, whenever it happens in the moment, you're like, oh, he's twitching. Like, what's happening? But he lived through it and everything.
Now,
But
granted,
whenever,
granted, his CGI was very reminiscent to the same design they gave Red Skull. Which I mean, there was the whole flesh burn. It was more realistic, obviously.
yeah,
But in terms of like the nightmare fuel level, like you're seeing the dude's skull, like in its pure form, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I was surprised with like you said, man. I was surprised that they went that far. Especially just the whole idea that like you see him rip the fake face off.
yeah. But I mean, it's very interesting that because whenever Endgame and Infinity War and all that stuff was happening, especially Endgame, Rocket was alive during that. He survived the snap for whatever's that's worth. I mean, could you? And it makes sense. Like, could you imagine if he didn't survive the snap and then like it would have made this story way more difficult to tell. With
Well,
like
I think
everything.
yeah, and there was a line in the movie to add to that where they said like it was about you the whole time.
Yeah, yeah,
It was always your story.
yeah,
And I mean, next to Captain America, I would probably argue that Rocket Raccoon has probably the best interwoven story that crosses over with the Avengers next to that.
yeah.
As
I
far
agree.
as like being like a one of the characters that's around and we see their perspective. Now, granted, don't get a whole lot of face time in Infinity War and Endgame, but he's very much there. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I do like, the whole like how like how they it's not really a trope as much as like it is just a great plot device to where it's like you have, people at different, I guess points in their life when something major happens. And we've seen this of course with like, with great movies that have been released where all the characters have to come together for a common cause. They're still dealing with their own demons and all that kind of stuff. And I felt like Gunn did a really great job at like having the movie focus around Rocket without Rocket actually kind of being in the film, while also allowing the rest of the characters to complete their story arcs and story arcs that have been set up since that very first Guardians movie. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it went full on like completion.
Yeah.
Um and like if just imagine, you know, in an alternate reality where they fire James Gunn and he doesn't come back, how does anybody finish Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 other than James Gunn?
Or even more specifically, how do you end it the way we got it?
Yeah, right.
Because
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think I and maybe I'm biased now because we got an ending, but I don't think any of like any attempt by anyone other than Gunn, I don't think that they could have nailed the writing that this movie had.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Um, and I was thinking about the whole snap thing while you were talking as well, man. With the exception of Gamora being killed for Thanos to get the Soul Stone, the only people that survive in Infinity War were Rocket and Nebula.
Yes.
All the other ones get dusted.
Yeah.
And tapping into um the Iron Man story, I think a lot of I guess where I'm getting at without having to go into too much of a tangent, a lot of these like movies serve greater purposes for the overall saga in
Mhm.
terms of their themes and everything.
Right.
And if there's one thing that Iron Man's whole arc showed us was that even though we're watching comic book movies, we're seeing ridiculous characters in ridiculous situations. They really hammer in home that like these characters get traumatized, like they have PTSD, like that was Tony Stark's whole back end leading up to his sacrifice in Endgame.
Right.
Like he went through the wormhole at the end of Avengers, saw that fucked him up. He even hollers back at it later on when he goes, "Remember when I said fucking suit of armor around the world, guys? Like now we're fucked."
Yeah.
Like his grand "I told you so" speech, I guess.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say that like even though he's human and he suffers all that, that's a very real thing. But how do you apply that to a character like Rocket Raccoon now that we know his backstory? Because, I mean, dude, Nebula said it herself. What happened to Rocket and everyone on Counter Earth was far worse than anything Thanos did to her.
Yeah.
And we've seen the way Thanos has tortured Nebula, like to the point where he separates her out to where she's got all her part, like she's splayed out like a Dexter kit in front of him, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that you see that over the course of the movies. I think after watching this movie and then going back and watching not only Guardians Volume 1 and 2, but also Avengers and the Christmas special to a
Yeah.
lesser extent, you see that characterization, you know, him trying to like bury his trauma, like most people do, right? Like most people, a lot of people try
Oh
to bury
yeah,
their
yeah.
trauma as much as they possibly can. And you see that, and Rocket kind of lets it manifest as like, I'm
Well,
gonna be, you know,
it kind of it goes in the same route that it's the classic tough guy that really has a heart of gold.
yeah,
And
exactly.
it's funny we're
He's a
talking
creep.
about it, yeah,
He's a
which was
weirdo.
an absolute wonderful way to start the movie,
It
by the
was.
way.
Yeah,
Um, was very like whenever because for a split second I forgot about the whole car sequence being the big F bomb drop, and my first thought was like, oh, the MCU has its first F bomb because they're using fucking Radiohead.
yeah, that would have
Because
been great.
instead of so very special, the original song is so fucking special.
Yeah.
Like he's swearing throughout it. So like I thought that was it at first, but then whenever they finally get to Counter Earth, I was like, oh, this is when that's gonna happen. Because that was I tried to do my damnedest to keep myself as spoiler free from this movie, but like all films, man, they find their way into YouTube shorts, but it was never anything that made me feel like my experience watching the film was cheapened, you know?
Right. Um, I want to talk about that. This Marvel movie, other than Infinity War, has the highest body count of any Marvel movie that they've made so far. They
Oh, a
killed
lot of people get their ass kicked in this film.
he
My
blew
favorite
that.
was the corridor.
Absolutely,
It was
Yeah.
a
dude.
great, like that whole
The
shot
camera
was
work.
awesome. Yeah,
Dude, yeah, dude, the shot
it
where
was awesome.
the camera's panning, I think it's either Drax or Groot, but then you get a classic comic book leap freeze shot of Rocket in the air,
Yeah.
and then it just goes back into the action. So fucking good, man.
Yeah. Um, I mean, they destroy a planet with billions of people on this planet. Like it just it's gone. Like that the planet is just gone. Like they kill there's so many people in this movie that die. And then that to me like James Gunn has always found a way to write incredible villains. And he writes villains to where it's like it's very black and white.
Hmm.
Like High Evolutionary is
Yeah,
like he's an evil person just
he
because
he's what is considered a two-dimensional character for sure. There's
but the
not a
act
lot there's not a lot of depth to him, but yeah, like you were about to allude to, his acting.
yes.
And there's this part, man, that was classic comic book or just classic writing, dude, where like someone makes a statement and then there's the 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 rebuttal, and the
Yeah.
rebuttal's usually like a sentence, like a one-liner that just is like, man, stone cold, or fucking that's badass, or some shit like that. And it's this scene where they were talking about him, about the High Evolutionary doing his experiments or whatever, and he turns around and he goes, I take what God made and perfect it.
Yeah.
And with the shots we already have in our mind of what he really is doing, and you just see how warped and deranged he is.
Yeah.
Like I would say, I wouldn't say it's a two-dimensional role. It's a 2.5 dimensional,
Yeah.
because there's depth there, but it's very twisted. But they don't make, like, Gunn did not make you have any level of sympathy for this guy. Not once throughout the film did I sit there and go, all right, like, like you're kind of checking the boxes of all the character personalities that you're watching, and it's like, all right, this guy takes people, or he takes creatures, and he modifies them into some new, improved, intelligent, like, or some sort of sentient state of existence. But when you see the end result, you're like, it's the thing that should not be,
Yeah. Right.
and it's like, fuck this guy completely. And of course, the scenes that we get is like, the just that extra cherry on top, man, is obviously when he kills that certain character,
Yeah. It was very well written. And that's the thing, like even whenever you go back to the other Guardians movies and other movies that he's made, he what he does is like he crafts a perfect villain and then casts someone to portray that villain in a way where it's just like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard. I mean, I would say that they successfully did it with Thanos as well,
Well,
even though
see, well, Thanos had that third dimension where he's coming from a place where, before he goes off into, I'm gonna kill half the universe, he's like, yeah, man, there's only so much of us, and we only have so much other stuff to supply that lot of stuff,
yeah,
and something's got to give. When you say that argument, everybody's on board.
yeah,
But then when he suddenly is like, so I wanted to hold a lottery, random people of wealth, people of poverty, indiscriminate, fair, but wipe out half of us.
yeah,
Then you're like, you're a bad guy.
yeah,
Like,
right. It is very impressive of what he's been able to do with this series, like taking no name characters, I mean, essentially, the mass majority of moviegoers have no clue who any of these characters are going into it, and just making the most memorable trilogy, in my opinion, in the Marvel universe, like Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like,
If I could asterisk to that, I would also say that we probably have in the MCU the highest caliber actor that we have on the roster. We never see his face, and he voices a raccoon. Because
yeah,
Bradley Cooper is the only motherfucker I can think of that could convince me to give a shit about a fake character, like like a CGI thing.
yeah.
Sky.
And he nailed it, man. I mean, were you thinking Groot as well, Adam?
Huh?
Were you thinking Groot?
What do you mean?
Like whenever I said like make us give a shit about the raccoon, you went like I thought you were coming in.
I
with,
said Sky.
oh,
Oh, yeah.
dude,
You know, when he was little and he's like
oh,
Rocket, and they're like,
He's
"Yeah,
like-
you're going to the new
the
world
lev-
one day. We're all going to the new world." That was what was so bad.
Yeah.
the level
That was
yeah
it.
the level of innocence that's shown out of all of them.
Yeah.
And what the evolutionary does to him. Yeah, when he goes, it's
Well, and
blue.
it made him
It's
mad because he was smarter than him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He figured out something that nobody in that room could figure out. And it made him mad, pissed him off.
That
Yeah.
was a great scene too when he drags him in there and he's like, "How
How
you
did
know?"
you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
When
like
he finally
whenever
breaks character on him,
when the
he's been
When the
so
proverb-
nice all this time. Like,
when the masks finally slip, no pun intended. Like whenever the high evolutionary cracks and he's like flipping the fuck out, like that's some damn good shit.
Yeah. I really liked it, man. And there's so much to love. And here's one thing that I wanted to bring up real quick because we kind of talked about this a little bit last night. I think it was last night or maybe Sunday night with Corey and Garbo, Adam Warlock.
oh yeah,
So I'm gonna pose a question to you, Trav, and you let me know what you think about this.
Yeah, I
Dude.
have a take as well.
Okay. Do you feel that Adam Warlock's character was intended to be the Captain Marvel from Endgame? Do you think that character was going to appear for the first time in Endgame and be the Captain Marvel role?
If you don't mind going deeper on that with me, I personally think they fucked up by making Hulk be the one telling. I mean, that's the one thing that if I had to have a nitpick about how the Infinity Saga played out, it was that the whole shabazz gets kicked off when Adam Warlock shows up to Earth and tells everybody what's happening. He's like, "Yo, Thanos is doing this. He's gonna do that. Blah 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 blah. Avengers assemble. Let's go deal with him."
Right.
And they gave it to Hulk, which was, I mean, it was fine or whatever. Well, no, it wasn't fine. Let me be honest. Like doing that switch, because doing that resulted in having to have the Hulk get his ass kicked, which doesn't fucking happen. It just don't. That's not how Hulk operates. You beat the shit out of Hulk for a few minutes, he gets madder than you and beats your fucking ass.
Mm,
That just, to me, yeah, I'd say it's a critical error. I think him showing up was natural simply because of it leading to it from the post credit of Guardians Volume 2.
yeah.
But as far as for this movie alone, personally, if there was one thing that didn't matter to me, it probably was his character, and that sucks.
Yeah.
Because his sole purpose in that whole film was to catch Star-Lord.
Yeah.
He was like, they introduced him in the
Rocket.
beginning, or Rocket, sorry.
Yeah.
He shows up at the beginning, gets his ass kicked, he fucks off. About 40 minutes later, he shows up, gets his ass kicked, and he fucks off. Like,
Well, it's
he
also
literally
like a
was,
very young version of him, so
yeah.
he
Oh,
can
yeah,
always show
yeah.
back up when he's a little older. But Griffin, explain why you said that though. The other night you were talking about how Gunn did 2, there was this big break where
Yeah.
he went off. They wasn't going to let him make the next one. Everybody got mad, brought him back. There was a lot of time between those.
Yeah.
Maybe that character was intended to be something different, and they had to change it up because of that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is just me personally, like just knowing who Adam Warlock is, them talking about it at the end of Guardians Volume 2, and then looking at everything, hindsight, of course, 2020. Um, there was no like at the end of Endgame, anybody, realistically, let's be honest, anybody could have shown up at the end of Endgame to help save the day. It didn't have to be Captain Marvel.
It
It's
could have
just
been there was a lot of characters that could have one-shotted that ship other than her.
exactly. And in my opinion, it feels like they were building Adam Warlock up into being something more just with that post-credit scene. And because like I'm sure that Gunn had an idea for High Evolutionary and like what he wanted to do, this, that, and the other. But I feel like either they missed a good opportunity to bring him in that moment, or they pivoted because of some of the things that happened with Gunn and wanted to try to distance themselves a little bit more so from like what he was doing with Guardians to a certain degree. Because to me, like I said, it doesn't matter who shows up at the end of that movie that can help, one shot that ship and then help fight Thanos. To me, it makes more sense to have Adam Warlock be the one that shows up, seeing as how he's
Well,
like a
we'll see.
god.
Yeah, and I
That
agree
was
with
5
you on
years ago.
that. But
Yeah.
I would also
The other
argue
movie was
that
7 years ago.
yeah,
Let that sink in.
and like looking through the lens of like a business person or someone trying to generate or marketing whatever, trying to get as much revenue out of this, it makes sense in the long run that they did Captain Marvel because it's an
Yeah.
Earth-based hero. We get a sense of who they are. Like we have a reason to root for them or try to.
Right.
Warlock showing up, while for the comic fans like you and I and everybody else that's involved in that stuff, we would have been like, "Holy shit, that's awesome!"
Yeah.
Like, thanks for bringing him in, Feige. I don't. There would have been like because in test screenings and stuff like that, all the time, one of the things they look for is like people are trying or people will be like, that character doesn't make sense. Why are they there? Who are they? What's like familiarity goes a long way, or good character development throughout the first act goes a long way as well.
Yeah.
So it would spoil the reveal, but if it had been something where Warlock showed up or you know hell, man, going on what you were saying about anybody necessarily being able to show up, it would have been fascinating to see the Nova Corps show up or the remnants of them from the snap being like, "No, we're here and we brought our buddies too." Like that,
Yeah.
like that, and like imagine if they had had the budget to have the Avengers, the same fight sequence we got, but we also have an aerial battle included. That would have been the Nova Corps fighting like other stuff and taking on Thanos' ship and everything.
Yeah.
That would have been insane. That probably would have been too much, but I mean, I would have loved it.
Yeah. And the reason why, a lot of people that do say anything negative about Guardians Volume 3 is mostly from the comic community, the people that enjoy the comics and the way that they used Adam Warlock. And to me it felt like Gunn was building this character up for something large. It seems like something happened, like it did. And because he teased it at the end of volume 2, he's like, well, let's bring him in, let's bring in the Sovereign and all this kind of stuff, and have this weird secondary plot point where it's like the Sovereign exists and the High Evolution, because it doesn't fit his MO. If he created the Sovereign and they weren't the perfect species or the perfect whatever, then he would have just destroyed them and moved on, right? So, like, and I know that they kind of shoehorn that with like, oh, well, there's certain segments of the galaxy that consider him God because of like he's created and moved on this, that, and the other. So it's like there's some kind of weirdness going on there, but it feels like
Well,
he was
Well, I would be well. I don't think it's necessarily the Sovereign was a failure in the high evolutionary's eyes, simply because they have the same egotistical confidence
Yeah, yeah,
that
that's true.
the high evolutionary has.
Yeah,
Like like they had like even the top queen of the Sovereign was like, you know, we'll do it. We have a way to help you. Like
yeah,
like we're not gonna fail. We totally didn't get our asses kicked to wham bam in the last film. Like, don't
yeah,
worry about it. Um, I mean, uh, like as someone that's not like of course I'm familiar with Adam Warlock and stuff, but he is one of those characters that I chalk up under the I only know about them when they appear in the crossovers of heroes. I have more, I'm more of a fan of.
yeah, yeah,
And so with that being said though, like I thought it was odd that he was comedic relief.
yeah.
Now
Especially with that actor.
yeah, and it kind of makes sense because when you read Adam Warlock in the comic books, especially during the old eras and stuff, like he's very over dramatic in his like
Yeah,
almost like Thor level of like, oh my goodness, my stars, blah 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 blah, that type of thing.
yeah, yeah,
So I mean, but yeah, I like I said, man, I felt like his only purpose in the film was to catch Rocket.
yeah. And I don't know. I mean, it could just be, me just kind of looking at it as a whole. Because, like, it does provide the character opportunities for growth and character development in the future and things like that. But, like, I don't
Well,
know. That was just something in the back of my head.
I think it would be. I think that there's still room for that to be put into place.
Mhm.
I think it's just picking which event to build it towards
Yeah.
because we currently have two separate ones that they're
Yeah.
building towards. And and I don't mean to go back to Captain Marvel, but something I was wanting to say when we were on the topic, despite all the opinions of Brie Larson, good and bad, and whatever controversies that have arisen from her as Captain Marvel, from either perspective, um, something I've been thinking about is that like I'm hoping that she's being Marvel's a long time, and it would be nice to see her build up to a point where maybe she will be part of like she'll be the leading Avenger in the Avengers versus
You
X-Men
said like her being
storyline.
around for a long time. Didn't we read something where they was trying to think of a way to get rid of her?
Yeah,
Wasn't that a
and
thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And and but I
So
feel
maybe
like
another actress
yeah, maybe
playing the part. I think it was an
yeah,
issue
like
with her
or
playing
yeah,
it.
or perhaps like they can like do using that way to having a way to recast her as like a variant. Like at the end of the day, Captain Marvel to me is just Captain Marvel. It doesn't matter if
Well, the
it's
one
Brie
we see
Larson
now,
or
that's the
whoever.
scroll version of her.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be intense. Um, but I do think that, or I hope that they're doing a long con with her to build up to having, because like the whole thing with the X-Men versus Avengers story, without getting too deep into it, is that the Phoenix Force that makes Jean Grey the Phoenix is coming back to Earth, and trying to guard they're trying to guard who they believe is the one that's chosen. Well, all throughout it, the Avengers are trying to just fucking get rid of them. And the X-Men are like, no, you're not fighting one of our kind. Like that ain't happening. And it would take someone like Captain Marvel to be able to fight and go toe to toe with some of those X-Men. Because some of them have like, I mean, they're like a whole other set of heroes. But like they might have like one ability, but the ability they have is they're fucking goddamn balling at it. It's maxed out to 100.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed what Gunn's done with the series, and it sucks that it sucks that he's moved on to DC in regards to like more Guardians. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And him touching those characters again, which could still happen. You know, like there's a possibility that in the future, Gunn could come back and do something with those
Well,
characters.
well, to add to that, did you happen to catch the post-credit text?
Yeah, Star Lord will
Mhm.
return.
There are talks that there could possibly be, that he's going to come back. He will come back and do a
A series.
legendary Star-Lord film or series. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he did that like Peacemaker, that would be perfect. Because
I'm-
Yeah, I think
Pratt,
that's why we see him go off on his own. He's going to do his own thing, and
Yeah.
yeah,
you know,
him showing up to his father, that was awesome. And even that last little shot of them just sitting there and him eating cereal like a kid. His old man's reading the
is it
paper.
his
Oh,
granddad?
that's his father.
Oh, that's his mom's dad. That's his grandfather.
I thought he said dad.
No, because his dad was Ego.
Oh, duh. Sorry,
It's been a
brain
while.
lapse. Sorry,
7
yeah, it
years since
has.
that movie came out, man. So
Yeah.
that's wild that it's been that long. Really
Yeah.
doesn't feel like.
But I
it.
will say, Gunn has been able to pull off what few people can do, and that is a consistent trilogy.
I mean,
Because
And
like
not
this,
we were talking about Gun
like
last week. Make a
these
Superman.
movies, like all three of these movies, man, are good. Like like I could sit down and see myself watching volumes 1 through 3 in a day, just like
Well,
off and on.
After
and
seeing this, now you got to be like, okay, maybe the Superman will be okay. Because last week you were like, I don't know if I can know, dude.
now I will say, man, my hot, my not hot, but my confidence meter went up a little bit, but it didn't blow off the charts like some people have done. Like I've seen tweets of people being like, "Dude, Superman's in
Well, they're
such good
simps.
hands,"
I mean,
and like, I mean, dude, like if
it could be
I
in
mean,
worse hands. I'll say that.
oh, absolutely.
I didn't know
Kathleen
Travis,
Kennedy could be working over there.
But I do think that the movie's gonna obviously be good. I think the whole thing right now is that the Superman that Zack Snyder gave me, and I don't know who originally I heard say this because it made, I don't know, it just made sense to me. The Henry Cavill Superman was the Superman I needed to see at this stage of my life.
hmm
Um, Shifting back to a more positive, more upbeat Superman from the jump, like the Christopher Reeves Superman films. I think maybe I feel like I'll probably, and I obviously will enjoy it, but I was so invested in the seriousness of Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman because, and we've all talked about this several times as we bring up DC, and it's that the biggest mistake that they made at Warner Brothers was just not letting the story get completed.
Yeah.
Because the point wasn't that Superman was not this happy-go-lucky, upbeat, whatever. It's that we were seeing the journey, that was his character development to becoming the Boy Scout.
hmm
To borrow from Batman, like we were building up to where, and we almost and we started seeing signs of it. I mean, we saw signs of it like from the first film. Like there were moments that were there to kind of show you, like, yeah, this is the Superman that you think he is, but he's also the one that like you're not expecting.
Yeah.
And even and like by the end, like how like to me, I guess the most upbeat aspect of Superman ever fighting had to be when he lands in front of Steppenwolf. The axe hits his shoulders and he just goes, not impressed, and then freezes it with his like air or his frost breath.
Yeah.
Like that was the most close to classic style Superman that we've seen him. So we were getting there.
Yeah, and
And
we're gonna get some
and
more.
and it would have been a great contrast because it was building up to showing that yes, that even Superman is susceptible to the anti-life equation. because of, you know, the more humanity he has than an average Kryptonian.
Yeah.
But he would bounce back, and it would be this, the pendulum would swing. But
Right.
Alright.
but as for like, I mean, it's obviously in good hands. Like to me, that's like almost a rhetorical statement because
Well,
like because because obviously Gunn is a very capable filmmaker and storyteller. He's great at it.
yeah.
Even in his early like his horror work that he did, like like I don't know. I know it's because horror films are typically a lot cheaper to make and have a cheaper budget, but it's so crazy how horror directors and writers can transition into the comic genre so well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
My only issue really with Superman Legacy, or the thing I'm cautious about, is that I don't want them like that. We're still gonna need origin films.
Hmm.
And having movies where characters are established from the jump, that's a ballsy move. I appreciate the fact that he clearly is not treating the audience like they're stupid. But at the same time, some of the origins are worth exploring, and you know, having it to where maybe having this whole weird Batman effect that the Nolan trilogy and the newest one has did, where like he's been Batman for a while. He's only been Batman for like a year, like early in his life type stuff. It I, I don't know. I'm just kind of torn, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if it's a good thing or necessarily a bad thing
Yeah. Right. I mean, we'll see when it
because
comes out. I mean,
it is. I mean,
Mhm.
because I mean, you can agree, it's a pretty bloated film in terms of the characters that's supposedly showing up. Nathan Fillion showing up as Green Lantern. Lex is obviously going to show up at some point. Um, you've got Hawk Girl. Or not Hawk Girl, but you have Hawk. Yeah, that's Hawk Girl. Sorry. You have Hawk Girl, a couple other heroes. You have Superman, obviously. Like, that's a lot of characters, and I don't know if it's just the nerd in me, but I'm like, some of those people deserve like some fleshing out, and I don't think it's going to take some really clever characterization or character development to have films like that from the jump in your phase one of your cinematic universe.
yeah. Well, and I think if anybody can pull it off, I think Gunn can because from I mean, look at what we've seen in this film. I mean, you know, High Evolutionary, Adam Warlock, there was a couple other characters that were introduced, but like his way of weaving characters in and out of the story where they're needed, but in a tasteful kind of way. He's kind of like a special that's part of like his specialty, I feel. So, like it was cool seeing, Stallone and Michael Rosenbaum and those characters come back and, you know,
Oh,
fantastic job.
Kraglin seeing Yondu was
Oh yeah.
that was a good moment. And I mean, yeah, dude, I agree. Um, I'm hyped because we're still getting more Superman. Um, but I think James Gunn is gonna pull a Seinfeld and just let his work in the MCU be what it is. I mean, it's gonna suck not necessarily not having him around to direct the Cosmic Marvel,
Mhm.
because we owe everything in the Infinity Saga as far as like the look of Cosmic Marvel, the way it's everything. Like we owe all of that to James Gunn for the most part.
Yeah.
Like to the point where other films had to keep visually consistent with him because of how well Guardians did.
Yeah.
Uh, what
Yeah.
did you guys what did you guys think of like first off, what Groot was the shit in this movie.
Hmm.
Secondly, I I couldn't help but laugh going back to Adam Warlock. I thought it was hilarious how at the very end when they're talking about music
Oh
and
yeah.
the post credit thing, and they said it to come and get your love and whatnot. But they're asking people what their favorite song is and whatnot, and it cuts to him and he goes, "I love Robert Fripp's work with King Crimson and his
Yeah.
solo." And in my mind, I'm like, of course, Adam Warlock would be a
Yeah.
King Crimson fan.
Of course, you know.
It's so serious and over dramatic, you know.
Yeah.
That gave me a little bit of a chuckle, but it was touching that he cuts Redbone on, Rocket does, and he goes, "This one's special."
Yeah.
And then Groot gets up and is fucking huge.
I mean, he's aged.
I mean,
Wood.
he's big
Wood.
mad now.
Yeah.
No, but whenever they're back, like when they're back on the ship, and Star Lord's like, "All right, guys," or like, "All right, Groot, now let's kill them all." And Groot opens up, and like all these tendrils filled with guns just unravel out of him.
Yeah.
It was fucking cool.
They were able to capture a ton of like truly comic book moments, and like Drax, like
Mm.
his story arc was just incredible. Like
Well,
him
yeah,
being, seeking revenge for his family's death and all this kind of stuff, to becoming a father to like how many kids were, you know what I mean? Like that, and Nebula as well. Like
yeah.
that was her character arc was amazing. Like, and Gamora too. Like
Oh
even
yeah.
and
Now,
that whole
no, I thought it. I feel like because of what Gunn had to deal with on a business level with Marvel, I think. I mean, maybe the guy. Maybe at the end of the day, we're wrong, obviously, and he wrote the story he absolutely set out to write. But I feel like to keep things consistent at Marvel, there were things he had to go along with to a certain extent, and I there was a part of me that felt like throwing Gamora in the Ravagers was the logical decision, but also like I don't know. That was that, and I was talking about this with uh with Corey the other day. Um, I felt like I guess I was expecting Gamora and Star Lord while this whole movie's happening. They had a little movie within a movie, and they were basically doing 51st dates.
Mhm.
Where like she don't remember anything and he's constantly trying like all throughout the movie like we only get certain moments and we get that in a way when she sees stuff that's kind of letting her know, dude, like for real, y'all like you gave a crap about this guy.
Yeah.
Because she makes some comment at the end where she's like, I bet we were fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just thought, like, I was satisfied with Gamora's ending, but also equally dissatisfied in a way. I guess because they didn't get back together, and I guess in a weird way, because I was expecting Star Lord to at least get that win, you know.
Right.
But I mean, he got a win. He got to get back with his family and get back to Earth. But I was expecting a love win for him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I went to the movies and watched it, enjoyed every second. I love the guy that played the High Evolutionary. Like I want to see him in more stuff, like on the reg.
You
And
know, if I don't know if it makes it in the movie news tonight, but I know that we might have been wrong about our boy Jonathan Majors. Um, it's last time I saw an update on him, it seemed like he was like it was a lot of things were coming out proving that he didn't do what he did. You know,
Yeah,
mhm,
we covered that.
yeah. So in the event that they had to recast him, I wish they would have found a way to make a variant of him be this dude. Let him be Kang.
He knocked it out of the park, man.
Like I think you could have switched both actors around, and they'd have both gave incredible performances in either role.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But I do like that Marvel's been sticking by him to the extent that like he's still going to be Kang as far as we know.
Right. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a full star. I really enjoyed it.
Full star.
Very, very, very much enjoyed it.
Same, man. He gets the coveted real estate golden mixtape.
I like that. So for I knew I recognized him from he was in Peacemaker.
Who?
The guy
John
that played the
Cena?
High Evolutionary.
Oh yeah, he was the cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was okay, never mind. I got sidetracked. I was on IMDb. Secret Invasion.
Oh yeah. Dun dun dun. Didn't expect old dude to die, did y'all?
No, and that
Oh.
kind of sucks. I think that he'll be back.
Well, we have 2 episodes left, so
Yeah. Well,
they're
now
hauling
the
ass through
chick's
some
gonna
plot.
be like she's gonna step up and turn on him
Yeah,
and be Fury's right hand woman. You know what I mean?
yeah, she's
That's
the new
gonna piss
guy in
her
the
off.
chair.
And
Oh
she
yeah,
knows
now
some
it's
shit.
personal. Exactly.
Also knew she wasn't gonna die. Like
No. Well,
Which
the thing,
it was a cool way how they use how they use the machine as like a rebirth mechanism.
she might be able to get his body into that chamber, and
I thought about that.
yeah, but it's weird. Like we really haven't gone like with 2 episodes left. We really haven't seen a lot. We know that
Well, and this one was a short one.
yeah, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So like we get that. Like of course, War Machine was. I knew from the first time
Scrody?
that he showed up. Yeah, yeah. I knew that he was compromised, and all that stuff. And it's like,
Well,
what?
When he called him Nick,
now we have the big question: how long has he been War Machine?
I mean, this is all. I think that this is because he got snapped out.
well, do y'all
right?
remember when he
So-
was in the hospital? I saw
Yeah.
something where they were thinking that's probably when it happened.
Oh, because think about it, they could have it to where that. Yeah, that's. I
Mhm.
think you called it, Adam.
Well, I saw that somewhere, but yeah.
Well, think about it. Whenever he gets shot down in Civil War, like he's going under PT, like he's fucked up, like he's got Doctor Strange
And
levels.
this one's a
of
wrestling fan.
damage.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
For
it would make
sure.
it would make
Undertaker level
sense.
shit.
It would make sense if a Skrull approached the original Rhodey and was like,
I
"Hey,
don't think he willingly handed it over.
there's a part of me that can't help but think that that's the case." Because in the larger scheme of things,
Well, the real version
War-
of him would have to be suspended in one of those things, right? Or he would eventually show up.
you're right.
I mean,
Or maybe
Scody's
when
living
he
in his house with his wife.
or what if they find a file where it's like War Machine died in a mission for the government, and it was
Like
a
the
Skrull.
doctor that the chick took her
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, and he died, and he was just like, "I'm just gonna take this role and take the suit, and just keep things going right along." Because it could have been like, because like, wouldn't that be a pretty good little moment where like a Skrull is like, I knew the Avengers still needed everybody, and people needed War Machine, so I just took the role.
Yeah. But I mean,
I
if he
mean-
did that, then why is he like firing Fury and like
Yeah.
getting the
Yeah,
president murdered?
Yeah, I
and-
mean, I know it's just it was an ass pull, but I mean, Well,
Well, this has been a long con that's been in place since the 90s.
yeah.
So it's been,
Yeah.
with all the others, like they've been
And-
working towards this happening one day where they turn the world against each other. And
Well, to contrast it to the comics, one of the big reveals in Long Con is that Captain America was a Skrull for a very long time. Like that was a big deal that happened in the comic books. So I wonder if this is their budgeted video version of it.
Right.
And it just, yeah, it raises the question of how long he's been a Skrull, or even
Yeah.
more crazy. You know, what if they do a reveal of characters who are now dead that were like, oh, they were Skrulls? Like, what
Or
Black
they do like
Widow's
a
been a
rest in
Skrull?
peace.
Yeah,
You know,
like
they
a
show the photos in the
Yeah.
arms
or
of
like
an angel's playing.
well, no, like they find like a wall that's got like all the dead on, or like the important people.
Yeah.
Or they find the room with their bodies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, in that thing where they get their
I mean,
memories. And
well, if you think about it, these types of like espionage thrillers, they always find a warehouse of some crazy going down at some point.
Yeah. My question is like, is this the real Fury?
I'm still riding that idea too.
well, you know, that's why him and his wife point guns at each other,
Yeah.
because
Well,
even she don't know,
Yeah.
and he don't know if it's the real her.
well,
That's
you,
why there's
well,
still that little.
well, if you use classic foreshadowing where they show you the ending at the beginning,
Where we
or they
saw
show
dude
you
turn
some
into
sort of
Fury.
when Fury arrives on Earth, we don't
Oh
see
yeah,
who
you don't
drops
see the
him
shit.
off. We don't ever
Yeah.
see who exactly it was. So, I mean, and I know that that's a very simple and very like nitpicky detail, but Marvel's notorious for putting little details and stuff that later on you're like, oh, okay, that's why they wasted that frame, you know?
Yeah.
And I would imagine that, yeah, or it's that he's the
They
real
didn't want to spend the
Fury.
money on the CGI.
Like, I feel like it's some sort of way of, yeah, that too. I feel like it's some sort of way that Fury is some sort of hybrid scroll.
Well, I
Like,
mean, the reason why I think, that I'm kind of like picking up on that is because like they keep referencing that he's different. He's different. He's different. He's different. And it's like in reality the snap hasn't happened that long ago. So like maybe when he came back and then he dipped out to shield not shield but sword, all that kind of stuff. But like I don't know, they keep saying that, bringing that up, and that's what makes me think it's like okay, because you can tell Rhodey is not Rhodey because of just the way that he
Yeah,
is.
he's not acting like
yeah.
Rhodey.
Well,
Yeah.
let's. How much time is like at this point in Secret Invasion? How much time has passed since the events of Endgame? Because you have to add 5 to however much that is, because there was a 5-year gap of the snap, or no,
Well, he's
even more.
definitely
Like,
older because we see the scene where
well,
he sits on the bench and he's like out of breath.
well, isn't it past?
Would a scroll be out of breath?
Nah, not unless you're 130 something. However
Yeah.
old Talos is, you know what I mean? And he's,
That's
as
one
far as
thing
we
that,
know,
when he
he's
leaves
the
and he
only one
sits
that's that
down, he's
old.
like he
Well,
is
like,
getting older, and people keep saying it, and you can tell he don't like it because he's like, well, I can
well,
still rumble.
well, now I'm starting to think, when did Fury actually go off grid?
Well,
Was it before or after Ultron? Because I know he left after Shield got compromised in Captain America 2, but
yeah.
that was after the Avengers. But I don't think that was before Age of Ultron.
So the Secret Invasion takes place 5 years after the Thanos snap.
So that's an additional 10 years.
So well, it would be because everybody was gone for 5 years.
Well, that
And then he came back, and then I think he came back, he dipped out of Earth for a little while to try to recollect his thoughts after everything was said and done. And then now he's back.
well, would that place this going parallel to the Avengers perspective, where they're having to deal with Thanos, they're hunting him down, they're
Oh, he got
doing.
snapped out.
Yeah, but when he came back though, it was still 5 years.
Right.
So if it's picking up 5 years after the snap, that's still parallel to how much time has actually passed in the MCU, because the gap between Infinity War and Endgame was 5.
Let's see. It says, in what year does Secret Invasion take place? 5 years after the blip, 2025, in the
That's what
same
I'm saying.
timeline as the more recent Marvel projects, include Black Panther and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So basically, the snap happened 5 years go by, Avengers saved the day, and then 5 years later is where we're picking up on everything.
Okay, so he's been off Earth for 10
5,
years.
well,
Well,
technically, yeah.
yeah,
Five,
yeah,
5 Thanos years, and then 5. It's like BT and then AT.
yeah.
Captain Marvel was 30 years ago.
Yeah. So we keep getting the flashbacks to the 90s there. But
And see, once again, they're wasting Captain Marvel unless they're building up for some sort of big event.
The
Because
Marvels.
wouldn't a film of her being in space saving a random planet wouldn't that be, that seems remotely interesting to me. I would watch that movie. I would probably be hyped for it if it's a good enough trailer, you know?
yeah. Well, here's my question. Okay. If she, and not only her, but like if the technology exists for them to travel outside of our galaxy, how hard is it to find these motherfuckers a planet? Like, why is it taking 30 years for her to find a planet for these people to live on? Like, she is procrastinating. There's
Well,
no way.
what if it's a reveal that she's a scroll? I mean, that would be a big oh shit, what the fuck? Like she's been a scroll since like 2001 or something, you know?
Yeah.
They do have powers.
Yeah.
This show was $25 million an episode.
And it doesn't feel
200.
like
Well,
it.
that's what I'm saying. That's why they're not going off world. That's why they're not. This was expensive as fuck.
Well, and I would say
saw that scene where he's sitting in a chair holding a gun. The only thing that's real there is the chair, him, and the gun. Everything else in that room was a green screen.
Wow.
That's where the money is coming in. It's like, dude, it'd probably be cheaper
Well,
just to put some fucking props in here.
I felt like I feel like the combination of the guy who plays Gravik, because that dude's on the rise right now. I don't know him. I don't know his name, but he's been
Bob
in some
Marley.
other stuff. Like and he's in high demand right now.
Yeah, he's blowing up.
Him, Olivia Clark or Amelia Clark,
Mm-hmm.
and Sam Jackson. Those are 3 expensive actors.
Yeah, 212 million total.
Well, then you've got Rhodey, then you've got Talos. I mean, these aren't
Yeah.
nobodies, so
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah. But with us, outside of Gravik, Talos would be the most featured one, obviously. So yeah, like they all get a pretty good bit of screen time, and that comes at a price. So, I mean, I feel a lot of the budget went into just paying them probably. And like Adam said, like with the green screen, because
Yeah,
I mean, tech ain't cheap. Good tech, at least.
yeah. So, 2 episodes left. I mean, here's the problem. I've been interested in the series and what they're trying to do, the whole 9 yards, of course, but like it just feels like we're moving the story along at a snail's pace. It's like they're trying, like Gravik's trying to like cause this war between the nations to happen so that the scrolls can then like basically third party every nation. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, that's cool and everything, but like, what we got to get this ball a rolling here. Like,
And I think you make a good point here, because I think it adds to a larger argument of whenever you're trying to make these properties live action, the big thing now is that you can take comic books and make them into genre films. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And with this being a spy thriller type of film and espionage and all that stuff, doing that with characters that we know that the audience is fully aware that they could go that like the story could get far more ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's Marvel, the more ridiculous, the more fun to a certain degree. Here's looking at you, Taika Waititi. Um, I think that the whole idea that we're dealing with a species that, like we said earlier, is linked to Captain Marvel, and it's this cosmic element, or more metaphorically, a cosmic elephant in the room that we all know can be addressed, but they just don't want to put the money or the writing into it. So, how far, I guess, back to my main statement, how far do we go into the genre before it becomes self defeating rather than, a new flavor?
Well,
Because I mean, because I've enjoyed it, and you have to admit one of the caveats to espionage films is that they do move at a snail's pace. It's usually not until the third or fourth act before stuff just starts. Like think of the Departed. As fantastic of a movie as that is, it's great from start to finish. But that movie moves at a snail's pace until literally the very end.
yeah. But here's the problem, though. The Departed ended when the credits went on. Like it feels to
Yeah,
me like they're building up to continuing this story, which if they are, then that's fine. But they've successfully been able to do spy and espionage stuff with something like Winter Soldier. It was a
oh,
one and done.
absolutely.
We got what we got out of it. But they've got 2 episodes left and nothing really has happened other than the idea of like, hey, there's some people that are scrolls and then there's some people that aren't scrolls. We established this in Captain Marvel. And then, oh, there might be a war, but there might not be a war because Gravik can't get his shit together long enough to do anything about it. Oh, and super scrolls are a thing now. Like, it's like we've got two
Well,
episodes left, and I just like,
and I have to agree to focus on one of those points, and with Gravik being a Super Scroll, um, I think that it's silly to hear people who've made criticisms of Batman and Superman and how they introduced the Justice League. Now, just bear with me here, acting like it was rushed to have them all on a computer screen and let that be it, which I was fine with it. Of course, Lex Luthor would have information on people with superpowers. You know what I mean? Like, it just made logical sense to me that he would have a file. Anyway, I bring all that up because all the stuff we saw Gravik doing, we get on a computer screen. He has the extremist virus. It showed Groot on there. He can grow Groot like wooden, tendrils. Um, and so all the foreshadowing to show us what powers he was gonna
I
have,
think I
we
saw
got
too
on.
in a video that because I watched one of those Easter egg things,
Yeah,
just to see what I'm not pulling that I don't know nothing about. I think some of those powers were Fantastic Four powers, right?
I mean,
I think
I
I heard
didn't
a
know
guy
about.
say that.
I mean,
Yeah,
that could very well be very possible because the
so
whole
that's
idea
a
is that
thing.
the Fantastic Four, they're not gonna have an origin story. They're just gonna already be them, to
yeah.
my knowledge. So that would make sense that they would do something like that. And I mean, I think I mean, that one of the slow builds and Easter eggs they've had throughout the MCU has been for the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
There's been, wasn't there several shots throughout different movies where they made a point to show us the Baxter building? Like I
Hmm.
think I know it shows up prominently in one of the Spider-Man swinging like shots where he's just going through. Like at one point he swings right through this one building. And it's like that's the fucking Baxter building, you know?
Right. So I'm interested to like I've enjoyed it so far. I just feel like, with all the Marvel series that we've got so far for the most part, they've done a good job at building to something more while also keeping the story contained for this like one-off thing. I'm afraid that this isn't going to be the case here, and which is like the scroll thing shouldn't begin and end with one series. And I understand that, and I agree with that 110%. But it just feels like they're building so much on top of building up Kang and everything else that's going on, that like the final payoff for what is going to be the scrolls and possibly like a scroll Kree war thing happening is going to be so underwhelming in comparison to everything else that it's going to be like, why did they attempt this now?
Okay, so getting to that point now, this is my working theory at the moment. With the way the episodes have just been nothing but cliffhangers, like that's been a very like prominent thing I've noticed with this particular series. Is it almost ends like a Doctor Who episode where like someone could get shot and I'm just waiting for the and then the credits roll, you know?
Mm,
Um I think that it'll end to an extent, of course, but I think it will be a cliffhanger. I think another reason why we're seeing Don Cheadle is because this is going to be the first half of a two-part story that's probably going to be finished up in Armor Wars. Because that makes more sense that it's going to be Armor Wars, because if Rhodes is in fact a Skrull, all the cover gets blown at the end of Secret Invasion. And all the Skrulls show up. You have him with with Stark Tech. And in the MCU, having access to Stark Tech is the equivalent to having access to a nuke. Whoever has it, like they become like, no, we got
I
to
am
get that
become
from
death.
them. Yeah, we got to get that from them. Like they don't need to have that crap because that's the whole thing. The big fear of Stark Tech is that someone gets a hold of it and reverse engineers it and then mass produces it.
yeah.
I mean, that was the main plot line of Iron Man 2, which ironically was our introduction to War Machine. So I think it's going to build up to where we're going to have armor wars going on. And yeah, I think that's going to happen. And I think also somehow the Marvels and Miss Marvel and that whole aspect is going to lead into it as well. And well, no, not that. I'm meaning Ironheart.
Hmm.
Because what's going to always be a hero's first villain? The mirror of themselves. So it would make sense that she would have her Iron Man suit perfected, and the first person she's got to fight is fucking War Machine.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, that a lot of that, obviously, I'm pulling from just face value of the name, but I mean, it is called Armor Wars.
Yeah.
And surely, and there's probably a book out there for Armor Wars, and I feel like I probably lose comic book bro points for this because I don't think I've ever read a book called Armor Wars. But so I don't know if this is just a unique story they've put together, if this is based on one. I haven't thought to look, but
2 episodes. I'm ready to see how
Can't
it
wait.
finishes up. I got some movie news here though, real quick. We can
before you start, can we address the strike?
yeah,
Because
I
I
mean,
feel like
Strike.
I feel like that's gonna modify all this. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean,
Because like that's a
I
pretty
think that article at the bottom.
yeah. So I'll go ahead and
Got
go
it
into
in
that.
there.
Disney CEO Bob Iger thinks writers and actors are not being realistic. So Hollywood is in the middle of a crisis, and Disney CEO Bob Iger is not happy with it. For the first time since 1980, the actors are on strike, and for the first time since 1960, they are doing so together with the writers, who have been demanding a new negotiation for their contracts for 3 months already. Both strikes will have a huge impact on the making of television and film projects, since many of them will have to stop or completely delay their production until an agreement is reached. Previously, the Directors Union was also negotiating new conditions, but they managed to reach an agreement. Large companies and studios such as Disney, HBO, Netflix, Paramount, or Universal are the main targets for the strike, since they do not seem to be interested in negotiating. SAG AFTRA President Fran Drescher stated, the studio's responses to the union's most important proposals have been insulting and disrespectful of our contributions to the industry. The companies have refused to meaningfully engage on some topics and on others completely stonewalled us. And now Bob Iger, who has just extended his recent contract with Disney until 2026, responds with strong statements. While speaking with Variety on the verge of the actors' strike and with the writers still holding onto theirs, Iger shares his view on the matter, calling unions' expectations not realistic. It's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all the challenges we're facing. The recovery from COVID, which is ongoing, it's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption. I understand any labor organization's desire to work on behalf of its members to get the most compensation and to be compensated fairly based on the value that they deliver. We managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic, and they are adding to the set of the challenges that this business is already facing that is quite frankly very disruptive. The CEO of Disney also spoke of the consequences that he believes both strikes will have on the future of the industry. It will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business. And unfortunately, there's huge collateral damage in the industry to people who are supportive services, and I could go on and on. It will affect the economy of different regions, even because of the sheer size of the business. It's a shame. It is really a shame. Movies like Gladiator 2, Deadpool 3, Mortal Kombat 2, and series like Daredevil, Born Again, and House of the Dragon could be part of the halted production since they were shooting, while movie projects like Blade and others could suffer major delays once again if the studios and unions do not settle an agreement anytime soon.
That's what happens when you
So,
start fucking around with unions.
well, yeah, I
So,
know.
so I don't know if this was just utter bullshit, but I saw on Twitter, it was right when the strike stuff was going on. And one of the tweets I saw was they explained about a certain writer. I can't remember the name. Hate it because I was trying to find if it was real or not. Because like I said, this could just be bullshit. Twitter is a pool of that. But anyway, the tweet was talking about that writer, and they were like, "This is the person that introduced Daredevil into She-Hulk," and that writer only made $400 off that episode.
So I've seen a bunch of these on Twitter.
Yeah.
There was a chick from Orange is the New Black that posted her residual check, and it was like $42. You know,
Yeah.
dude. Now,
Well,
if your show's not doing well, they'll just pull it
yeah.
because it ain't worth
But
paying you.
But here's the thing, like I don't want to be devil's advocate or anything like that because I do think that fair compensation
Sure.
exists.
But I
But
agree
also,
with Bob Iger.
well, I agree to an extent, but I also agree that like, look, man, we live in a different world right
It is
now.
a different world.
Streaming residuals and royalties and all this stuff isn't going to work the same way as TV. Like whenever you look at the cast from Friends, for example,
Yeah.
right? Friends went off the air 20 years ago, right?
Different
Somewhere
time.
around there. They show reruns of that still.
Sure.
There's advertisements that happen during those reruns. There is, there is a transaction of funds during those reruns because reruns are very much in demand for a show like that.
And
So
it's syndicated.
exactly, it's a very, very different world whenever you're going from a TV with commercials into the streaming platform. And that's one thing that like I think that actors and writers and everybody else needs to completely understand when it comes to like their royalty and residual checks. It's like it's not the same. If you are on
Yeah.
King of Queens and they show replays of
Well,
that on
That was a different time too,
syndication,
man, and they made more money back then.
yeah,
You don't get a show like that now because there's no TV.
right,
That just doesn't happen.
Well, I think
exactly.
I think it's also a thing that it also shows you, like, and all that. I agree with you guys on what y'all are saying, but I think it also shows you too that streaming, this is, it's like they they're trying to reframe it like this is a new. It's not like it used to be, But the reality is that like streaming, what was
How?
I'm trying to word it the right way. That's the problem.
Well, you know, like Hulu still has ads.
Yeah,
You know, even if you pay, you'll see some every now and then on certain things. But what's different about now is now they can target me with an ad.
Yes.
The TV couldn't do that. Now you can.
Yeah.
So it is
Well,
better on that front. But
but it's showing you that Hollywood is suffering from streaming.
well, back in the day
And-
too, they would go by the Nielsen ratings.
Yeah,
And you're just taking someone's word. They're like, yeah, well, based on the amount of that people. I mean, there's no. Your cable box didn't, put a number on the screen. All right, that's one.
Yeah.
They just kind of went off of it. Now you
Yeah.
see the numbers.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're on primetime NBC. They're not getting views. This show
Yeah.
sucks.
It's very interesting. Like I said, it's a very different time now, and I think that expectations and reality needs to be set across the board with this, because like I could go and audition for something and I could get cast in something as a nobody, become a SAG member, all that kind of stuff, and not expect to make much of anything, and not expect, because I would be getting into the industry
That's
now.
what you're doing. You're building a
Yeah.
resume. How many big actors do we love that started,
Yes.
on 21 Jump Street? Or,
Right. So it's like the industry has gone, it's gone full circle, because like back in the day, there was a time period where TV actors didn't cross over to movies and
No.
movie actors,
frowned
but
upon.
now, yes, but there for a little while you would have people that would become popular on television and then they would move on to movies, and we're seeing that come back up. There's a
Well,
different
and-
mindset.
and as fucked up as it is, we kind of owe it. And I'm sure there were people before him, but we kind of owe it to Kevin Spacey. Like he proved with House of Cards that could be done.
So, I mean, whenever it comes to like the whole AI thing is a completely different topic, right? But at the same time, like if you write something,
Mhm.
and someone pays you for your writing, and then it's really good, it gets a really good critical response and everything, that means that your next gig is
Yep.
going to net you more money. You have a platform to stand on at that point, right?
The guy in the
And you-
movie we watched last week, third movie.
Yeah,
Third movie.
Ari. Yeah. So it's about building a career. It's not about like, well, I'm a writer and I'm
Yeah.
part of a write. And it's like whenever you break it down, do you really need 30 people working on one television
No,
show?
I think that fucks it up.
Yeah, I mean, because when you're split, if
Becomes
writers,
too many.
Dude, if
many
you can't fit
chiefs
them
and not
around a
enough-
table, it's too many.
yeah,
Yeah, it's too many chiefs,
Really?
man.
Not enough
It's-
Indians.
and then look at all the extra things that have to be accounted for, especially in a world like it is now. It's like you have to get enough writers, you have to get enough of a diverse individuals part of the writing team. Then everything has to be filtered through like what's appropriate, what's not. Then it has to go to like whatever streaming service to
Oh,
see if
yeah.
it's appropriate. Like there's so much red
The
tape. And
channels, dude.
yes, and I understand that like some of those things are needed. I get it, whatever. That's a whole different conversation. But like let's say that you're going to pay $500,000 to a writer's room, and this is the writer's room salary. And they're like, well, we could bring on 50 people. You know what I'm saying? For 9 months worth of work.
Yeah.
And you're splitting 500,000 between 50 people.
And they're all
Is
writing
that-
different episodes together.
Yes.
Some not even working on the other. And that's why you're watching a show and it's like, man, this started off this way, but what's
Yeah,
happened?
it's-
You know?
Yeah. So,
Dexter.
Yeah.
so it's, I get both sides of it. I feel that people should be like, I don't know what Nick Pizzolatto made off of the True Detective stuff.
Well, I'm
you
sure
know?
it wasn't a lot the first season,
Exactly.
but the price goes up.
Exactly. And he proved himself as a writer from that. He proved himself as a writer whenever he was able to lock in Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, in my
Well,
opinion.
dude, if you notice the greats, when you go check the credits, like it's either them or like Nolan, him and his brother.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need a bunch of people
No.
you know. And now you could have one person, and even like, I got a couple of treatments here. Let me run it through the AI.
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know?
I think that like how it's always sunny in Philadelphia
Yeah.
and Workaholics, like they form their
Yep.
own writing team, and that's who writes the episodes. And they'll bring, they'll have people come in from time to
Sure.
time, but like that's the writing team.
South Park.
Yes, they get together, they write the episodes, they go through the red tape and the channels that they need to, and the show gets made. That's an agreement. If us three
So,
wanted to start a writing company,
so more specifically, would you say that freelance writing is the more, if you wanted to call it, dead end aspect of being a entertainment writer?
It's a good
Like,
way to get in the business.
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
That's it. It's on
But
your resume. I wrote on this show. Next.
yeah,
I mean, you
it's
can't. You
like,
don't go on a show and be like, "I'm gonna be here forever." No,
right.
no,
that's
that's
like
not gonna last
Sh-
forever.
Well, that's like, let's look at Shane Black for a second. Okay. Shane Black wrote a couple of spec scripts for Star Trek The Next Generation. And then he wrote treatments for a couple of other scripts
Yep.
to the point where he got his foot in the door enough doing these one-off gigs, writing stories for TV like Star Trek or whatever, to become the person that he is today. Shane Black wrote fucking Lethal Weapon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like he is a person now, but
he's proved himself.
he had to work through all this stuff to get to
Probably
that point.
started in a room with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's who's bitching.
Yeah,
It's these
exactly.
shows with fucking 30 writers, and they're like, "We want more money," and it's like, well, there's 30 of you. If you cut out, I don't know, 20,
Yeah.
you all make more money. They can go work on something else.
Yeah. So it's just I think that there needs to be an industry realignment here. Just a little bit, in
Well, it's
my
like,
opinion. Because
you want more money? No, you want a fucking participation trophy.
yeah,
Fuck
right.
that. Make something.
Yeah. And the thing is whenever you look at Shane Black's IMDb page, the first credit that he has is Lethal Weapon.
That's
But
huge.
he wrote uncredited. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like he built his way up through the industry. That's what people need to understand. That's what people need to realize. They need to. It
Well,
is what it is.
well, it's also the fact that, because think about it, if you pull up any show that you watch, most of the time you're only going to see the writer name, like a long running show, you're only going to see the writing name change at most 5 times, maybe. There may be 4 or 5 people that get actual
Well,
writing
at
credits.
first, it starts with it's like someone comes in, I got the idea, I'll get you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it ends. You can pick it up from there.
Well, yeah, and you're absolutely right.
That's it. You'll see that change
But-
over time. It's like, oh, new person's.
But
working.
that saying though, when you have like a massive writing team, only like a quarter of them are getting the credits.
Well, it
It begs
depends
the
on how many
question.
words you have.
Well, it begs the question
So
of
much of the dialogue and
like, what did Rider 27 contribute? This
he
whole
was like,
season?
whenever they
You
show
know?
up to the party, he locks his keys in the car.
And
That's
yeah,
it.
they're like,
You know what I'm saying?
cool.
And he wants to
Yeah.
be paid the same as the
Yeah, and
motherfucker that
that's-
wrote the whole script.
Yeah, but
Not
that's the
doing
thing though. You're not a writer then. You're an
Yeah,
idea.
you're just throwing shit out there. You're spitballing.
And I mean, and I think people that are there to create like creative consultants should be a more umbrella
Well, dude, I
term.
think they want to use AI for that. And that's what's upsetting people. They're like, well, I'll be out of a job.
Well, I think just like with the art thing that like Mid Journey and whatnot showing, is that although that stuff is gorgeous to look at and it's great, it is missing the human element. I
Yeah,
don't think
we'll
that's
get
going
there.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll absolutely get there, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, there's just an imperfection that humans have.
The more you
that-
use it, the better. And you can hear it. Like I had the, old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra, those covers he did.
Yeah.
That's wild, ain't it? But
It's
you could. There's
crazy.
certain words that he would sing. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, you can tell that's AI, but it's close. It'll get better.
Absolutely. But like it's gonna be the day that the only reason you know it ain't real is because of the title.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because I'm right there. AI will eventually get to a point where it replicates humanity, but I think the people behind AI are going to go high evolutionary and try to perfect it. Keep the conversation short.
Yeah.
And I think in that, that's where you're going to lose the human nuance that comes with just art itself. It
Well,
doesn't
it'll be
even have
like
to be
what was
pertaining to
that drumming
movies.
program? It'll have a humanized button on it.
Easy
Yeah.
Drummer. Yeah.
At some point, it will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can accept it for what it is, and it can be pleasing to the ear, but you're gonna always know that ain't a real performance.
But then that's why you come in behind it and change
Yeah,
this,
of
change that.
course.
You know,
Yeah, you try to like, yeah, absolutely. When you're programming
every time I've
drums,
used it, I'll go in there and pull something, but it's like, okay, well, this is okay, but I'm going to put this here. And,
it's the
you
it's
just
one of
kind
the
of,
few it's one of the few outlets I've ever messed with where instead of trying to make something perfect, you have to go in and make it imperfect
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yeah.
To like to give a human element to it because it doesn't have it because it's software. And I think essentially AI is going to be like that. It's going to there's always going to be that gap that we know is there, but damn it, it's good at covering it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
well, it's fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there's a part of me that can't help but be like, yeah, AI is going to kill off a lot. It's going to Thanos the shit out of Hollywood.
Well, I
And
mean,
That's where
that
you need to be
sucks.
great. But see, that's the guy.
Yeah.
The guy that's like, when they pull up, he locks his his keys in the car. He's gone. You know what
Well, I
I'm
mean,
saying?
it's like, well,
That guy's gone.
it's like fishing in a very crowded pond, man.
Because you don't
There's a
need that guy now.
ton.
You need the guy that wrote
Yeah,
fucking 80% of the script, but can run it through that and be like, yeah, I like that. I like this. I like that. You know,
like yeah. It turns into, but yeah, it turns into, it
yeah.
weeds out the
Participation trophy's
unnecessary.
mad because AI is
Yeah,
gonna fire his ass pretty much. That's
yeah. Well, it weeds out unnecessary
yeah.
competition. I think it's healthy to have a competition
Unnecessary
amongst riders.
spending.
Yeah, it
That's
just
what it is.
yeah. Like at the end of the day, sorry, dude, you should have spent more
Yeah.
time being a barista
Get
than
better.
a
Come back.
rider. Yeah, yeah, or yes, that's more
Get better. Go home and write a script
to
using
be
AI. Come back. Where
to
we
be
here?
more yeah, to be more positive. Yeah, go and just practice your craft more. Or better yet, don't give up. It's just this one show
Push
you
through.
pitched at. Go to another one. Stephen
Well,
King
if you
has a
give up, then
whole
you're done. Yeah, that's.
he has
Right.
a whole chapter based on how he
If you
kept
take
every
no for an
rejection.
answer, then
Yeah,
that's
he
not the
kept every
business for you.
he kept all like King got rejected so many times before he published his first book, but he kept sending it in. Imagine if he had given up after the first three or
There
four
would be no.
rejection
I mean, it
letters.
would be a different world. Really,
No
Yeah.
Tower, no The Stand,
he has
no
such a huge
no Pet
impact on pop
Cemetery.
culture that
Yeah,
I
imagine
mean,
how that landscape would have looked. What
well,
would have
like
filled the vacuum? Like all that stuff.
it was a really big role for Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
and his career would he would have been great, but
Oh, the butterfly effect of
whenever
that would
he
have been
did that
insane.
movie, it was like, oh, you can do crazy too, you know.
Like really crazy.
He went from wanting to watch the World Series to trying to chop his family up, you know.
Yeah.
We got to move on.
So, on the heels of this, the live action Masters of the Universe movie has been canceled at Netflix. So, the long in development Master of the Universe live action reboot seems to have found its place at Netflix and was set to join the two animated shows currently streaming on the platform. It now looks as though that will not be happening, as Variety reported that the live action He Man project is now dead, with Mattel looking to a new partner to try and bring the Muscle Man of Eternia to screens. The last time a live action Masters of the Universe movie hit the big screen was back in 1987 with Dolph Lundgren taking on the lead role and battling Frank Langella's Skeletor for the supremacy of
Which was a
Eternia.
great performance, as campy as it
For
was.
sure.
Yeah. Most recently, it seemed that after several false starts elsewhere, Netflix were well on their way to making the movie a reality, with Kyle Allen being finally cast as He Man himself and the Lost Cities directing duo of Adam and Aaron Nee being on board the helm. Variety noted that according to multiple sources, the project has now been shut down after spending somewhere in the region of 30 to 60 million on its development so far. It seems that this initial cost and the direction the budget was heading has been reported as the main reason for the cancellation of the movie. So, and this kind of feeds into that topic. It's like, why are we spending
Yeah. To
25
develop
million?
it,
Yeah,
to just
like
talk about it.
it's crazy, right? It's crazy. Like, and it's supposed to be like as time goes on, things are supposed to get easier and cheaper to manufacture, right? That
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to bring the price of them down, but it's supposed to streamline the process a bit. Why are we spending that much money on each episode of Secret Invasion? Like,
Yeah.
anyway, but at the end of the day, Masters of the Universe, eh, like,
Yeah.
Well, it's almost missed its window.
Well, if you see here at this point, 60 million, you're better off to just take a loss on that and write that off than to
Yeah,
complete
right.
that because you're looking
Yeah.
at some big numbers.
yeah,
And
for sure.
At least
And
150 to 200. I mean, they ain't even started filming it.
And never mind all of the stir that the animated series gave.
I think that
Yeah,
helped them make their
world.
decision.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
sadly.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
ruined it. God damn you, Kevin Smith.
And
Yeah.
and I think it also boils down with a lot of these types of IPs. There are people that grew up with it.
I'm
And maybe you
actually
guys-
all right with what I grew
and-
up with. I don't need
and
more.
Yeah, and maybe you guys are on board with this. There are people that grew up with it, and then there's people that actually like it.
Yeah.
And they're hiring the people that grew up with it instead of the people who know every bit of lore
Yeah.
and know like that's something that the Masters of the Universe franchise needs. They need someone that can sit there and pick out a character in the background and tell you every damn thing that there is officially stated about it.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to step up at bat for that. And instead they're getting people who grew up with it on TV and they know the base idea of how He-Man operates, but that's it.
The 80s was a certain time, and
Yeah,
I don't
for
think you
sure.
could capture it. Now
No.
it would just look campy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
well, yeah, because
The
in the
feathered
80s,
hair, the way that
yeah,
everything looked like.
it would have to be everything that didn't make it what it was. It would have to be a revisioning,
Yeah.
and that would just piss way too many people off.
Oh yeah, they would hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I would welcome it. It would be
Well, you'd
crazy
like to
if
see it, but it'd
Yeah.
probably be a bad movie. I mean,
absolutely. But I mean, you can't deny that it would be pretty fucking epic to see a crazy ass version of He-Man fight Skeletor.
Yeah.
Like that would be fucking nuts.
you could even bring Courtney Cox back.
Like
Yeah.
it would be insane. Cuz I will say despite what it was, the fights in the animated show, cuz I toughed through it,
Hmm.
the fights through the show were fucking awesome.
Right.
Like there's a moment where He-Man and Skeletor throw down in the throne room, and it's pretty damn mint.
Well, and the thing is Mattel does have the opportunity to search for other, and they had a hard time finding somebody to lock it down to begin with Netflix, but they're still, maybe
Shit,
after
Amazon
everything,
got some money to burn,
yeah, so maybe after everything's said and done, they may find someone to actually produce it, get it out there. But
It'd have to be
we'll
it'd
see.
have to be a passion project though,
Yeah, for sure. So next up here, Pet Cemetery prequel. So a new Stephen King classic is getting ready for its return to the screen, but this time with a prequel film. Pet Cemetery had its remake in 2019, and although it did not achieve the impact of the original adaptations, it was successful enough for Paramount to give it the green light to a film in the form of a prequel that has finally released its first images. Under the title Pet Cemetery Bloodlines, the movie tells the story of young Judd Crandall, who in the most recent adaptation was played by John Lithgow, and his connection with the place that gives its name to the franchise. Here's the
Ooh.
official description. 1969, a young Judd Crandall has dreams of leaving his hometown of Ludlow, Maine, behind, but soon discovers sinister secrets buried within, and is forced to confront a dark family history that will forever keep him connected to Ludlow. Banding together, Judd and his childhood friends must fight an ancient evil that has gripped Ludlow since its founding, and once unearthed, has the power to destroy everything in its path. Based on the untold chapter from Pet Cemetery, Stephen King's chilling novel Pet Cemetery Bloodlines, a terrifying prequel and the untold story of why sometimes dead is better.
I
It
like
stars Jackson White, Forrest Goodluck, Jack Mulhern, Henry Thomas, Natalie Al- Natalie Allen Lind, Isabel Starr LeBlanc, Pam Grier, and David Duchovny. The movie premieres on October the 6th.
I like that shot. I'm guessing that's the dude.
Yeah.
So
he's
is this so was this Untold chapter ever published? I feel like I've lost some King points here.
I'm not sure. I just finished Pet Cemetery like recently.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Did
sure.
it feel like something was missing?
No. I mean,
Now that this comes to light?
no, because I mean, Judd does a good job at explaining like the history of
Yeah.
what the cemetery and the burial grounds and all that kind of stuff is. So maybe he released an updated version of it. Maybe it's something that he's published as like a, short story or whatever. But I'm interested to check this out because I thought that the stuff that Judd talked about in the book was interesting enough to warrant it. It just depends on how well it's going to be executed.
Yeah.
So I'm down.
Oh,
to
I'm
check
excited to
this out.
see this. This is
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Anything-
that remake. So I'm excited to see this. Like
Anything that deals, regardless if it's King related or not, but anything that deals with some sort of burial site that's like doing
one that said he had to band
yeah,
with his friends to,
like
so it's
stuff
kind of
that's
got like a it thing going on.
well,
you
stuff
know?
that's brewing on some ancient evil. I'm
Yeah.
always down.
So it's cool to see more of that dude, and it's fucking got fucking Jackie Brown in it. You see the picture over there?
Yeah.
See
And
the
David
photos?
Duchovny.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, Pam Grier.
So I'm
oh,
interested.
I'm watching
checking
that.
it out.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
We might have to
oh,
watch that during
little
Halloween.
Spooktober.
Yeah, a little Spooktober, baby.
Was it Podtober? No, that's Podvember. Anyway,
Yeah. Next up, I threw this in here because I thought it was hilarious.
well, didn't he
Chris-
go against this before?
Yes,
I was pretty sure when I
Yeah.
saw it. I was like, wait a minute now.
So Chris Nolan says he is okay with people watching his movies on small phone
You
screens.
can call him Chris. I'll let him know.
Chris Nolan makes movies for the big screen, and in most cases, the bigger the better. However, IMAX loving director is completely aware how times change and the way people watch movies also change with it. In some ways, though, Nolan is quite willing to accept that movie fans are watching films on their phones or on tiny airplane screens. Is not really any different from how he originally discovered some of his favorite movies when watching them on VHS tapes. So this is what he had to say about it. The truth is, I'm a child of the home video age. I grew up with VHS and the birth of VHS and watching films at home. And I discovered some of my favorite films like Blade Runner I first watched on grainy pirate VHS tape. There was a terrific article that M. Night Shyamalan wrote some years ago in one of the trades where he was talking about the theatrical experience and how it filters down to every version of the film that people see. So, yes, the economics of the movie business, my entire life and before I was born, have been that more people numerically may wind up seeing your film on television. And these days, right down to phones and things like that. But the equation doesn't change, which is you shoot the film in the best way possible and present it in the absolute best way possible. And that experience trickles down to these other formats. It's dude,
I feel like he hated that he had to spill it out.
Well,
to you
dude,
like
on a
that.
VHS tape, you're on at least like a 13-inch TV.
Yeah.
We're talking about dude, if you're watching Oppenheimer on a 6-inch screen,
yeah, get the fuck
kill
out.
yourself.
Get the fuck out, dude.
Kill yourself.
Yeah.
Or
The
better
thing is,
yet, or like if you're watching Interstellar on your phone,
No,
like,
you can watch
what
clips.
are you doing? What are you doing?
You can watch clips on YouTube, but not the whole movie.
yeah.
First
I
off,
think-
first off, as someone who, for the sake of being able to keep going with the pod with y'all, as I did my move, I've watched
Oh,
2.5+ hour movies on a phone.
I've
It's
watched a movie on
excruciating.
the way to somewhere while I was driving, and then picked it back up when I
I
got there.
don't, I don't see how people can do it
Yeah.
because it was
We're
hard.
different. You
Yeah.
know, he's talking about kids, young people.
And I think that, like, because the reason that I brought this article up was because of what Dirt was saying, where it's like, he came out really strong against them
Oh
releasing
yeah,
Tenet on streaming. I think Tenet did way better than he ever would have
yeah.
thought that it would have done, because it's a Nolan thing, right? So
Yep.
like,
Well,
so
well,
I think
well,
that
I,
changes mine.
yeah. Well, and I think you're right. But like I was saying though too, man, I think it's also a case of, yeah, he didn't necessarily waver from his stance, because just like he says at the end here, he says you shoot the film the best way, you present it the
Yeah.
best way.
It will be really
But
clear on your phone, you know?
but at the same time, like, it's obvious the other ways that films are going to be watched in their, the streaming age.
Yeah.
We're in the advent of that and everything. But it still doesn't waver his stance, but he had to basically spill it out to you that it's like, yeah, dude, I'm not stupid. People are obviously gonna,
Yeah.
like, fuck my opinion.
Let me throw this out there. I'm sure. Do you think he has Netflix? Does he
Oh,
watch? You know what I'm saying? I would imagine
yeah.
if you're a filmmaker, if I was a filmmaker, I'd watch everything.
oh
Yeah.
I
yeah.
just
Well, I
want to
mean,
know the landscape and what's going on. But listen, this was 15 hours ago when this was published, so it was recently.
Yeah.
So the Barbie movie came out at the same time as Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
The Barbie movie has grossed $110 million. Oppenheimer 50. He went up against a comedy,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, oh, date night, like, you know, somebody. Now,
Yeah.
if I'm going on date night, I'm like, I want to watch fucking the Nolan film.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
the other side of that transaction is gonna be like, 3 hours of making a bomb,
Yeah.
you know.
as
It's like,
opposed
by order of
to,
the fucking Peaky Blinders, bitch, you're watching this movie, you know.
well, yeah, as opposed to going and get like 2
Yeah,
hours of the Goose and
it's
Margot
got
Robbie's
Ryan
feet.
Gosling. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, I think, but I mean, he's probably right
he's
in that.
right. Oh, he's 100%.
I mean, his money in revenue is not going to come from this movie's box
No.
office. It's going to come from the streaming.
Well, box
Yeah.
office too. He gets his nut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what
Well, I
happened
mean-
whenever they released Tenet. He got his nut. He was like, "Oh, okay, well,
Well,
Yeah.
and it also works well for him too, because Nolan is known for bringing in movies under budget.
Nolan's
Yeah.
a filmmaker. That's a filmmaker."
Yeah. Proper British.
He's like, "I fuck with my brother sometimes, but most of the time I ride it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have 30 riders. 30.
It's like, saw what I did with like under $10 million budget and just editing my movie in reverse. Imagine
Yeah.
what I can do when
Oh.
you give me some real money.
Oh yeah. So last up here, Frankenstein producer reveals Guillermo del Toro is creating his own monsters universe. So Guillermo, the filmmaker behind movies like Pan's Labyrinth and The Shape of Water, get that shit out of this
Yeah.
article, is currently working on the production of a live-action adaptation of Frankenstein. The film is reportedly eyeing top talent such as Andrew Garfield, Oscar Isaac, and Mia Goth to bring the
Ooh.
character to life. Del Toro's involvement in this project goes beyond a mere standalone film. In a recent interview with the Academy's A-Frame, J. Miles Dell, a producer involved in the Frankenstein adaptation, hinted at Del Toro's broader vision. According to Dell, Del Toro is doing his own monster universe, concept that was initially explored during his collaboration with Universal. However, the planned monster universe didn't materialize. He said, at one time he was going to do the monster universe with Universal. Frankenstein's Bride, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, The Wolf Man, and he didn't. We feel like Shape of Water was kind of a version of a creature. So now here he is doing his own Monsters universe. Del Toro's exploration of the father-son relationship has been reoccurring theme in his recent works, notably in films like Pinocchio, which received critical acclaim. Del revealed that this theme will continue to be a central focus in the upcoming Frankenstein adaptation, drawing from personal experiences where both Del Toro and Del have lost their fathers in recent years. The film aims to navigate the emotional landscape associated with fatherhood. In the last couple of films, certainly with Nightmare Alley and then with Pinocchio, we've dealt with the whole father son relationship, and Guillermo and I both lost our fathers in the last few years. When you have a strong father figure, it's a big part of our lives. This version of Frankenstein very much goes down that thematic road. So I feel like this is the third film in Guillermo's father trilogy. That's exciting, and when you read the script, it's very emotional and, of course, very iconic.
Coming from pain. I like it.
Yeah,
I haven't
I'm.
seen anything from him since Shape of Water.
I do want to watch. What
Pinocchio?
is it? Nightmare Alley.
Oh,
I mean, I'll watch Pinocchio, but I'm more interested in
yeah.
Nightmare Alley. But the thing
Dude.
is like he's kind of hit and miss.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the article, I was like, he's hit. Dude, Pan's Labyrinth? Great.
Yeah,
Great. But there's been times. Well,
Well,
we're
well,
also
I'll be
talking,
honest.
but now he's a man on a mission.
Well,
you
he's
know?
only really released one bad film,
Shape
in
of
my
Water?
opinion. No, and I would say it's Crimson Peak.
I don't think that Crimson Peak is a bad movie. It's
I
just
don't
not.
like Shape
well,
of Water.
I'll reframe it. Like, well, the reason why Shape of Water is what it is because
Creature of the Black Lagoon. Kind
it
of.
was, well, it was just a love story,
Yeah, it
and
was
they just decided to make it was a subverted love story where it was just this creature that had like what little mythos they established with him being some ancient sea god or whatever
Yeah.
that we never got explored. We
Yeah.
just saw the woman
We were just
like
in the apartment masturbating.
we it was through the
Yeah.
woman's perspective, which not because of that, but
No.
we weren't from the creature's perspective.
Yeah. That would have been cool
And
stories.
that would have been more interesting seeing him get captured, seeing what they do to him while she's away. We get we still get all her scenes, but we get more like depth given to him. And I
Yeah.
know maybe Del Toro was aiming for mystery, make him the mystery man,
Mhm.
Yeah,
But I would say I did enjoy Shape of Water more than I did Crimson Peak.
I don't even know if I've
Crimson
seen
Peak
Crimson
was
Peak.
it's the one where they're in the castle, the snow turns into blood. It's
Nope.
got Loki in it.
Mm-mm.
yeah.
I like Guillermo though. I follow him on Twitter. He's a cool dude. He paints a lot of minis.
Oh, dude.
You know, he's a
yeah.
nice guy. When you hear him talk, I'm like, yeah, this is a lovely dude.
And I mean, come on. He gave us Ron Perlman as Hellboy. I will
Yeah.
forever be indebted to him.
Yeah.
You know?
Ron Perlman is Hellboy.
Well, and maybe with that being said, this is a return to form because, like, before he did Crimson Peak and The Shape of Water, he did two episodes of The Strain, he did PT, he did
That's right.
Simpsons, but Pacific Rim, and then before that Hellboy.
Mhm.
So he came off of bangers. Then he released Crimson Peak, Shape of Water. I haven't watched Nightmare Alley, something that I definitely do want to watch because, of course,
Yeah.
Speaking of
but
Pacific Rim, though, I really hate that did not take off like he was hoping it would, because he kind of wanted to pull a George Lucas and introduce the movie with all the different mechs
Yeah.
and all that,
Kinda
and then
queued it up.
branch out into like a Gundam type of thing.
Yeah.
And I really wish that it would have took off like he had planned, because I was totally on board with
Well,
that.
we all liked it. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Some people would argue that that it would be nigh impossible to properly adapt an Evangelion movie. But if someone were to do it, I really hope it would be Del Toro.
At the time, there was even talks to link in Pacific Rim to like Godzilla. Like, it was
Yeah.
going to link into some kaiju for real.
Like in a
Yeah.
perfect world, Netflix Gundam project would have been ran by Del Toro.
Yeah. But this might be a return to form for him specifically. I mean, like I said, Nightmare Alley, haven't checked it out, but I mean, we've got two kind of like they're watchable. They're enjoyable. They weren't
Sure.
former Del Toro, so this might be like what he needed to kind of bring him back into the Del Toro. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, Colin Robinson.
Yeah, Guillermo.
Guillermo.
Yeah,
You know, that just started back.
Colin Robinson.
I
Yeah,
watched the first episode.
I've got. So I thought
Amazing.
I watched all of that last season, but I only
Yeah.
watched part of it. So
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
remember.
restart that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna
It won't take long.
30-minute episodes. I'm
It
in.
won't take long. You do it
Yeah.
while you eat.
Yeah,
Put
I
one
could
on when
just
you
do
eat, dude.
do it while at work.
Sure.
Nah, I've got a Scanner Darkly going
Yeah.
on right now, so we'll get into that. But
Trailers.
yeah, let me get these trailers.
So we
pulled
watched
up
the
here.
trailer for this. We got a new trailer.
This is the dude from Tenet, right?
Yep. This
Dude,
is the
I
one
was-
where he goes in the room and it's the AI kid.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say because dude used to be a football player, right?
What?
Yeah.
Like
The
American football or
yeah. Like he was a NFL player, and he's
this
like,
dude
I
is
don't-
a good actor, man. Are you
I want-
serious?
yeah. And Tenet
I
found
gotta
him,
look that up.
or Tenet. Nolan found him, got him in Tenet, and I want to see him in more because he is just
his facting.
yes,
Oh yeah, he's starting that the Black Klansman.
yeah.
Remember the trailer for that? I have it. I haven't watched it. This
Yeah.
guy's a good actor, dude.
He is. He's a great actor. It's crazy that he came from that.
Football.
But yeah.
Well, this is way better.
Oh yeah. He's not
Way
killing
better.
himself every
Yeah,
week.
no
You know.
CT.
Yeah. No Will Smith biopic.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right, but I'm ready. The Creator.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play. Star Wars.
Mm.
Oh yeah. That was Johnny Five. You saw that?
Yeah.
Johnny Five. Oh. Okay. They're trying to take the AI out. I mean,
Okay.
probably not a bad thing. Nah. Sing with me. This is shaping up to look pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, when they were crushing them in the thing,
Yeah.
the one was trying to get out, like, it's just a kid. So what the reason he's going to save the kid is to prove to the kid that humans aren't bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what the dude that died in Secret Invasion. If I save the president, the humans, they won't think we're bad and they'll let us stay.
Yeah.
That's Sturgill Simpson. Did you see that?
Really?
Yes. That was Sturgill.
I mean,
This looks great. Sturgill got a funny haircut. Dream on. Meow, 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 meow. Is that Sturgill? It is him. He's in this movie.
that's
Why do
pretty
these
cool.
motherfuckers look like Alpha? Ay, ay, ay. With the fucking circle head, you know?
I know, right?
Rangers. Damn. That looks pretty good, dude. They were like, you ain't gonna make a good Star Wars movie? Hold my
I
beer.
mean,
You know?
I mean, that's not what I was expecting.
Nah, dude.
But
Remember the
in the
first
best
trailer?
way, but in the best way possible.
I'm
Yeah.
in on that. We're pod locked.
That looks very interesting.
They probably filmed this a long time ago, right?
Had to. Had to.
I don't know what the trailer's about. I just saw that she was a star. And so keep that in mind.
Wonderwall. Wonderwell.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderwall.
I thought that's what that said.
Yeah, right.
With a quick glance, I was like, Wonderwall.
Yeah.
Cue the
This
song.
is the biopic. Yeah.
All right. Damn, that trailer was good. All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
Where?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So this came out in 2017. Why are they just now releasing? Maybe it was filmed then. Yeah. 2017 this was shot. That was a maggot. Right?
Yeah.
Oh. This is the origin story of Little Shop of Horrors. What's happening?
I don't know. Mother Nature and Mother City are at odds with one another.
That's Princess Leia. That's wild.
Don't look bad.
Nah.
Wonder Boy.
A24? A24?
Medusa Deluxe.
I mean, it's a
Sheesh.
special
Alright.
package.
Man, it sounds like a hell of a combo.
Who is this guy?
I don't know, but I want to hang out with
He looks
him.
like he's trying to sell me a painting or something. Like, you know?
I got all these
Let's
paintings.
go cheat, my
bro.
friend. You come look. You look now. Calm down, son of a bitch. All right. 3, 2, 1, play. It's a foreign. What is this? A was dead.
The most Jackie Brown sounding music ever.
A was dead. Who's this guy? Who is that? That's somebody. Who is that? A was dead. British Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah. I thought we already had one of those. Rebel Wilson.
Oh, she lost the weight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
She Adele us.
she did and got really white teeth. They're
Yeah.
like, you look at them, it's like blinded by the light, you know? You look at that teeth, her teeth, it's like, whoa, those look fake.
Yeah.
Your mouth didn't glow like that before.
So this has the dude in it.
The dude.
I think that's the guy
Play the
from
dude and know what he
Guardians, right? No. No, this is the guy from 12 Years a Slave. Okay.
do. And Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Mordo or
Dude,
whatever.
dude, know what he do.
Okay. The
All
pod generation. So is it about podcast?
It's got to be, right?
I mean,
It's the pod people, man.
It better be 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, you could just buy a baby at the store? Kitty dealers are going to love that, you know? That is terrible. What's that egg tree about? Short. You could have a baby? The womb center? Have y'all seen the pods?
mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a thing. They can grow babies. I'll send it to you later. It doesn't look like that, but you just gotta carry this fucking Tamagotchi around, you know? Until it hatches.
Oh my God.
I don't like the tone shift here. I was in until that happened.
Yeah.
They had me till this music came in. Now I know what kind of movie it's going to be. So it's a baby. Shake it a little bit. I'm just, it's a joke.
Damn.
It's a joke. But yeah, dude, there's this whole thing where you'll grow your baby in a pod. There's a camera. You can watch it grow. You could be like, I want my baby to have blue eyes, blonde hair, tall, allergic to cheese, whatever, you know?
Jesus.
It's weird.
You said it, man. Nobody was
Dios míos, man.
But
But I was in on that until the switch happened.
Yeah.
Where the shift, it was like, oh, okay. It's one of those.
Yeah. Dark
Put all
windows.
Portlandia on us.
So is this people have the window tint too dark?
They got the blackout curtains.
Yeah. It's too dark, dude. You better take that tent off or you're gonna get fined by the steady.
Yeah.
By the steady.
Imagine they come up to your house like they do when you're in your car. We got to check the tint on your windows. It's like, on my house?
It's like, yeah, no.
We need to be able to see in, sir.
No, you don't. I'm shreddy.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Are you? It's a chick from Doctor Who that died. Mm-hmm. That is something to panic about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't get on Twitter. That is creepy. I hope they never show
Why's he
you who
wa-
it is.
Why is he walking like that?
He was walking weird.
Yeah.
Nope. Damn. They're getting fucked up by Antifa, you know? That's a tough gig.
I mean, it looks alright.
Ring around the
At least
rosy.
I thought it was gonna be like she's dead. They're haunting her
Yeah.
because they let her die.
That's what I thought
stupid
too.
Shit. Yeah.
It's a haunting movie. It's like, nah, it's a real person.
Yeah.
He's
It's just
going
some
through
dude.
some things.
He's working some shit out. Oh
Bad.
God. Birth, rebirth.
I don't know
So
what
it's
this is either.
about reincarnation.
I recognize this chick, maybe from Lost. I recognize her from something. Let me look.
She was the chick in
Scrubs.
Scrubs.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that's serious.
She was kind of serious in that in that
Was,
show.
All right, let's check it out. Rated R.
Let's do
3,
it.
2, 1, play. Oh, it's a Shudder film.
Okay. Okay.
Is she pregnant?
Looks that way.
What's in your pod? Hmm. Hmm. Intruder alert.
Oh shit. Wait, what?
Oh. What was that? Brain dead? What? Reanimator? What was it?
Yeah, Reanimator.
I recognize her too. So she's not, I mean, this is like a Pet Cemetery kind of,
Yeah.
right?
Gotta
Yeah.
be.
I might be a little interested. I mean, I ain't going to the theater,
No.
but
I'm interested to see the chick Carla from Scrubs in a serious movie.
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It does look
No.
Pet Cemetery as fuck.
Yeah,
Though.
it's Daughter
This-
Cemetery.
This might be something that I would go to the theaters and watch.
Oh,
though.
we got another dude. This shows more.
Oh,
Dude, this
really?
shit drops in September. September. I can't wait. I heard it, so I doubled down.
September.
Shep. Do you remember September? I remember September. All right. Johnny Ace. I mean, Outlaw Johnny Black. 3, 2, 1, play. Look at him, dude.
Oh,
He picked that dude up by
God.
his nuts. He should have said his ass. I came to put a bullet in his ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
She's like, the Lord is my shepherd. He knows what I want. Woo. Who the fuck is this
Oh.
guy? Oh. Oh, look, it's the mom from the stepmom from Friday. We gotta watch this on the pod, right?
Yeah.
God damn. Sometimes he has a beard, sometimes he doesn't.
I think time's passing, you know?
See? Right there.
Yeah.
Dude. They need to make more of this. I can't wait. He just shot everybody. September.
Yeah. We gotta. Yeah. Podlocked for sure, right?
Paul Giamatti.
It's so funny that this shit's popping up because we were just talking about him
Yeah.
yesterday.
We manifested it.
Yeah, yeah. I've been, just to give travel context here, I've been listening to A Scanner Darkly, something short, you know, and Paul Giamatti is reading it.
Wow.
Giamatti.
Yeah. It's the most random shit of all time. It's great. I love it, but it's so fucking random. He looks like the
Well, his eyes are fucked up. I mean,
well, he looks like the uncle from Harry Potter.
I would, yeah, dude. Yeah. He does. You sleep
under
under the
the
steps,
stairs.
bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Get into the stairs, motherfucker.
Dude, even the son, the real son, felt bad for him later on. He's like, he's family.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not family, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, I'm ready.
His eyes are fucked up, though.
Yeah.
One's off and in a different color. All right, 3, 2, 1, play. That's film. I know film when I see it. Look at that. He's even dressed like the uncle. Oh. We got trailer voiceover guy?
Yeah, dude. They come out of retirement.
So they're held back. That's funny. I like the way this is shot.
Yeah.
It feels old. He's like, well, as I sit here in my Bear Bryant hat, Paul Bear Bryant. I never realized how fucked up his eyes are until this trailer.
No.
But a coming of age trailer. This feels like it came out in the 70s.
Yeah, right.
That motherfucker's boss-eyed. Look at it. I love it.
I really want to watch it. It looks good, man.
No matter what you are.
I
Oh,
like
I'm trying
that.
to start a thread. Fuck. Delete, you know.
I know. I do that shit.
Oh, here it is.
Master? Master. Master. I mean,
Dude, this guy's comment 2 years ago, he's like, only the people who watch this movie in the theater can feel the goosebumps. This other guy's
Oh.
like, they show you the whole movie in 3 minutes. They reveal
mean-
the whole movie in 3 minutes. Impressive. That's all these trailers.
yeah, yeah.
All right, Matt, dude, Master 2021, 2 hours and 57 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
God damn it. It's on Amazon Prime.
I mean,
Jeff Bezos is like, that laugh he does. You seen him laugh?
yeah, dude.
Goober. All right. 3, 2, 1, play. I saw a clip from this and I was like, that's it. Oh, little slap fight.
Dude.
Look at this. There's going to be a fight for sure. Oh. Okay, that was a tone change back to back, but what's happening?
I don't know.
It's like you're we're on there. We're watching 4 different movies in a movie.
Is this Van Wilder?
Yep. Tone change. Here comes the next one. Different movie.
Uh,
Oh. Yep. That's what they're doing. They broke his arm. Oh. So many movies in a
Yeah.
movie. Look, oh, fuck off. Speakerphone?
He said, "I'll cut you up and dry your pieces."
Yeah,
to
I'll
pickle."
dice you.
Yeah,
Dude, I saw this scene when they fight,
yeah.
and I was like, that's the movie. Took me forever to figure out what movie it was.
Eesh.
Master
We might have to throw
of
that
what?
on Foreign Film February. You know what I'm saying? That's some next level shit right there.
Ah.
He said, "Why are emotional men always so angry?" And then it cuts down.
Screaming.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh God. All right. So, does anybody got any picks for next week?
I ain't got nothing.
You got anything, Trav?
Honestly, not really.
Nothing?
I just uploaded a new movie on Plex. If you want to check that out.
What you got, man? What is it?
Trav will have to look it up. He'll have to tell us what it is.
Let me see.
How's he gonna know the newest one?
Because it'll show up as newly
As
uploaded.
recommended.
Yeah.
Let me see. Recommended. Oh. There it is.
What do you think?
Yeah,
What is it?
yeah, very much.
He's
Yes.
like, what is it? Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just say it'll be a very quick episode of the podcast, if you know what I mean.
Are we gonna keep it all
Yes.
cryptic, not tell them what it is?
Yeah,
It's gonna
I
be
think we could-
fast. It's gonna be a fast one.
Yes. I'm probably gonna watch it
tomorrow. Yeah. Well, I don't want to hear about it. I might try to
I'll
watch
watch
it
it.
tomorrow too.
I'll watch it Sunday, so I'm gonna.
I'm not gonna watch it then.
I can't wait.
I'm gonna watch it Monday, just so you can talk about it until then.
It's like, bruh. So we're going light speed, right?
Yes.
We're breaking the speed force.
We're gonna see some cool shit, hopefully, and probably, yeah,
We're watching The Flash. Let's just
Yeah.
throw it out there.
yeah.
When you were
Shit
like, it'll
just
be a
got
quick
real.
podcast, I'm like, we ain't never had a quick podcast, man. Like,
Especially on this.
This one's gonna be quick in the scheme of we're seeing it through the perspective of Barry Allen, so it's real time.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm totally down for that.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I like it. I guess I'll watch it. I'm just.
What if that's
I
how it is?
guess.
We just all optionally choose.
I protest. I'm like, I don't want to see it. You can do this episode without me, you know?
It's like, bruh. But
Bro.
bruh.
I don't know if I have that clip anymore. Nope. But yeah, Flash, Secret Invasion,
Mm-hmm.
whatever shit show of a news is going on,
Yeah, right.
and fucking trailers, Dark Windows, the fucking checks in the mail.
Hit it.